What's going on, Jeromes? So we Minnesota Fighting Vikings fans know that Justin Jefferson is the best wide receiver in the game, and we're patiently waiting for him to return from his hamstring injury, still on injured reserve. Looks like that maybe he could be out even against the Bears on Monday night. Give him an extra week with the bye week and revved up ready to go in Vegas. Viva Las Vegas, Week 14. And, you know, the Vikings have been 5-1 without Justin Jefferson, including 5 straight wins, and, you know, they've rolled with the punches. It sort of is what it is, and obviously would love Justin Jefferson back, but of course there's fantasy football. Now, we don't even talk about fantasy football much on this channel, even though I'm very heavily involved in fantasy, mainly because no one cares about your fantasy team, bro. Like, literally, nobody cares about your fantasy team. It's honestly so boring to me. In fact, my teams even bore me, right? And with Jefferson, who's been the top, if not top 3 wide receiver scoring the last couple of years, although could he use a couple more touchdowns? But he was largely seen as the consensus number 1 overall pick this year, especially in PPR. And a lot of people took JJ 1-1 or 1-2. Maybe McCaffrey went 1 in a couple of your leagues. But also I'm in one league where the guy's like a hardcore Texas fan. He took Bajan 1-1. With JJ being out the last 6 weeks, of course, the fantasy football nerds have been up in arms, and I'm sure they've been getting after and be like, oh, my fantasy team has been struggling without you. First off, injuries happen in fantasy football, and honestly, if you can't compensate, if you can't make a trade, if you can't scour the waiver wire and find value, I mean, your team sucks anyway. Maybe you're just bad at fantasy football. Who knows, man? But Justin Jefferson just completely torched and dunked on the fantasy football nerds. This is what he tweeted out on Tuesday morning. My health is way more important than you winning your fantasy games. It doesn't matter how many times y'all flood my DMs talking about me selling your team. It probably meant killing your team. Maybe it autocorrected. Who knows? I don't care. Laughing emoji. And you do see this quite often from NFL players, where they'll have a rough game or they'll be out, and I'm sure that they get hundreds, if not thousands, of DMs and at messages like, "Hey, you're killing my fantasy team, bro. Hey, we need you out there." And with JJ, where he was eligible to return against the Saints off of IR, but he and the Vikings are taking it very cautiously with that hamstring, because it's got to be 100% before he gets back. So if it's after the bye, it's after the bye. If it's Monday night, that's fantastic. That's great. But either way, get him to be a 100% before he touches that field again. But again, I understand that, hey, maybe some fantasy football nerds are completely frustrated. It's like, hey, he was my top pick. He was supposed to be the league winner for me. But like we said, if you didn't find a way to compensate for injuries, I mean, that's sort of on you. That's 100% on you, man. And looking at wide receivers scoring, who should and could have been available on the waiver wire, depending on how large your league is, from week 6 to 11, where JJ has been out. I mean, there's some good names like Tank Dell, picking him up. Maybe you picked him up later on in the draft, which was fantastic. I mean, the pride of Houston's getting things done with CJ Stroud. Same thing with Noah Brown in the mix there with the Texans. Jaden Reed, you can also throw Romeo Doubs in there as well. Jackson Smith and Jigba is finally getting off the schneid, getting a little bit of work there in Seattle. Or Jacoby Myers has been putting up numbers with the Raiders, even with their shaky quarterback situation. Tyler Boyd, in the absence of Higgins, as well as Jamar Chase, been dinged up. He's been, especially in PPR, like, I mean, Boyd working on a slot, he's been money. Although with Jake Browning in now, I don't know. But Rashid Shaheed was actually a fantastic story. Not against the Vikings, because he got his ass shut down, but as a deep threat with the Saints. Also with Jameis there versus Derek Carr, I actually do think that Shaheed could have a lot of value. I mean, maybe marginally less in a PPR, but there you go. Josh Downs has been fantastic when he's been healthy and on the field. Zay Flowers has stepped up. Deontay Johnson came back off of injury. So, like I said, I mean, if you're just relying on the guys that you draft to carry you throughout the season, it's not going to happen. It ain't going to happen, man. So you have to adjust. You have to make trades. You have to make good pickups, whether you got fab or whether you got waivers. And again, if JJ being injured means that you lost your league, I mean, you're just bad at fantasy football because, again, there's lots of guys that you can pick up. I mean, Tank Dell might be a league winner for some people. So, also, if you're savvy in fantasy football, you know that the thing to do is take guys who've overachieved early and try to flip them. Yeah, try and flip them for guys that are clearly blue chip players that were underperforming, or guys that were injured early and will return in the middle or late part of the season. That's exactly what I did with JJ in a couple of leagues, because I know that he's coming back, and having him back for the stretch run in the playoffs at 100% is going to be huge. I get traded like Darnell Henderson or someone for him. It was ridiculous. Whatever. Bottom line, stop messaging players about your stupid fantasy team. No one cares, especially the players do not care. It's whatever. It's whatever, man. Right. Anyways, Justin friggin' Jefferson dunks on fantasy football nerds. I love it. I love it, man. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skull Production Value.